How does a German princess, born with a different name and a different faith, end up becoming one of the most powerful and longest-reigning rulers in Russian history? Today, we're diving into the extraordinary life of Catherine the Great, an empress whose ambition, intellect, and sheer force of will transformed the Russian Empire and left a legacy that still fascinates and divides historians to this day. This isn't just a story of crowns and palaces. It's a tale of political intrigue, military conquest, cultural revolution, and the complex character of a woman who was both an enlightened despot and a ruthless autocrat. From a calculated marriage to a dramatic coup, get ready to explore the golden age of Russia through the eyes of the woman who defined it. Her story begins not in Russia, but in Stettin, Prussia, in 1729. She was born as Sophie of Anhalt-Zerbst, the princess from a minor German noble family. Her prospects were modest, but her mother was ambitious, and her intelligence and charm were noticeable from a young age. Fate intervened when Empress Elizabeth of Russia was searching for a bride for her nephew and heir, Peter of Holstein-Gottorp. Sophie was chosen. At just 15 years old, she embarked on a journey to a vast, unfamiliar land, leaving her home and her name behind forever. Arriving in Russia was a shock, but Sophie was determined to succeed. She threw herself into her new life with incredible dedication. She learned the Russian language so fervently that she would practice at night in the cold, eventually contracting pneumonia. She converted from Lutheranism to Russian Orthodoxy, being christened with her new name, Catherine Alexeyevna. Her marriage in 1745 to Peter was, by all accounts, a disaster. They were deeply incompatible. Peter was immature and often cruel, openly taking mistresses and showing little interest in Catherine or in ruling. For 17 long years, Catherine navigated the treacherous waters of the Russian court, feeling isolated and unloved. But she didn't waste this time. She read voraciously, devouring books on history, law, and philosophy, particularly the works of French Enlightenment thinkers like Voltaire and Montesquieu. She was quietly building the intellectual foundation for her future reign, all while cultivating a network of powerful allies in the court and the military. She understood that her survival and her ambition depended on her ability to win over the Russian people and its elites. The turning point came in 1762. Empress Elizabeth died, and Catherine's unpopular husband ascended the throne as Peter III. His short reign was a series of blunders. He alienated the powerful Orthodox Church, made peace with Russia's rival, Prussia, and showed open contempt for Russian customs, all while planning to replace the elite guard regiments that had been Catherine's key supporters. He was essentially writing his own downfall, seeing her chance, and likely fearing for her own safety. Catherine acted. With the backing of the Imperial Guard, led by her lover Grigory Orlov, she orchestrated a brilliant and bloodless coup. Peter was forced to abdicate and was arrested. Just days later, he was killed under mysterious circumstances. At the age of 33, Catherine, the German princess, was proclaimed Empress of All Russia. Her path to the throne was paved with risk and audacity. But now, the real work of ruling had just begun. Ascending to power via coup, Catherine knew her grip on the throne was precarious. She needed to prove herself as a legitimate and capable Russian ruler. She immediately set out to undo her husband's unpopular policies and embraced Russian traditions with gusto. One of her first major projects was to tackle Russia's outdated legal system. She convened a legislative commission, drafting a document called the Nakaz, or Instruction to Guide Its Work. This document was groundbreaking, filled with liberal ideas borrowed directly from the Enlightenment. It advocated for principles like equality before the law and the abolition of torture. While the commission itself failed to produce a new legal code, the Nakaz was a powerful statement of her intentions and broadcasted her image as an enlightened monarch across Europe. She began a famous correspondence with Voltaire, who became her greatest cheerleader, championing her as the star of the North and a model enlightened ruler. But Catherine's reign wasn't just about philosophy. It was about power and expansion. Russia's southern border was a constant source of conflict with the Ottoman Empire. In 1768, the first of two major Russo-Turkish wars broke out. Catherine's modernized military and newly powerful navy proved devastatingly effective. The war culminated in a stunning Russian victory, formalized by the Treaty of Kak-Kainaka in 1774. This treaty was a massive geopolitical win. Russia gained significant territory, secured access to the Black Sea, and was granted the right to protect Orthodox Christians within the Ottoman Empire, a pretext she would use for future interventions. This victory announced Russia as a dominant European power and cemented Catherine's reputation as a brilliant military strategist. However, just as she was achieving victories abroad, a massive crisis erupted at home. In 1773, a Don Corsic named Yemelayan Pugachev claimed to be the miraculously surviving Peter III. He ignited the largest peasant revolt in Russian history. Pugachev's rebellion tapped into deep-seated grievances among serfs, workers, and ethnic minorities who were suffering under the burdens of the state. The rebellion spread like wildfire across the Volga region, capturing major towns and brutally killing landowners and officials. For a time, it genuinely threatened Catherine's rule. The Empress, who had once written about the evils of serfdom, responded with overwhelming and brutal force. The rebellion was crushed, and Pugachev was captured, brought to Moscow in a cage, and publicly executed. The experience hardened Catherine. Any early thoughts she had about liberating the serfs were abandoned. Instead, her reign saw the power of the nobility strengthened and the bonds of serfdom tightened, revealing the stark contradiction between her enlightened ideals and the autocratic reality of her rule. Following the Pugachev rebellion, Catherine focused on consolidating her power and securing her empire's borders. The Black Sea was her primary obsession. She saw it as Russia's gateway to the south, crucial for trade and naval power. The key to this was the Crimean Khanate, a vassal state of the Ottoman Empire. Through a combination of diplomacy, political maneuvering, and military pressure, she systematically undermined the Khanate's independence. Finally, in 1783, Catherine formally annexed Crimea. This was a monumental achievement, a dream of Russian rulers for centuries. It gave Russia a warm-water port, secured its southern flank, and was celebrated as a grand triumph. To showcase this new territory, Catherine organized a legendary journey to Crimea in 1787. Accompanied by foreign ambassadors and even the Holy Roman Emperor, she traveled down the Dnieper River. Her favorite, Grigory Potemkin, allegedly erected elaborate fake villages along the route to impress the delegation, giving rise to the term Potemkin village. While the scale of these facades is likely exaggerated, the trip was a masterful piece of public relations, broadcasting the power and prosperity of her expanding empire. Catherine's ambitions didn't stop there. She also turned her attention to Poland, a large but politically weak neighbor. In a series of 3 maneuvers known as the Partitions of Poland, Catherine colluded with Prussia and Austria to carve up and absorb the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth until it completely vanished from the map of Europe by 1795. By the end of her reign, Catherine the Great had expanded the Russian Empire by over 200,000 square miles, absorbing vast new territories and millions of new subjects. Beyond war and politics, Catherine's reign is remembered as a golden age of Russian culture. She was a passionate art collector. Her personal collection formed the basis of one of the world's greatest museums, the Hermitage in St. Petersburg. She filled it with thousands of paintings, sculptures, turning her capital into a dazzling cultural center that rivaled Paris and Vienna. She was also a pioneer in education. In a truly revolutionary move for the 18th century, she established the Smolny Institute, the first state-funded institution of higher education for women in Europe. While it was limited to girls of the nobility, it was a remarkable step forward and reflected her belief in the power of education. She was a patron of literature and science, founding academies and libraries. She even wrote plays, memoirs, and children's stories herself. Catherine truly championed the Russian Enlightenment, dragging the nation's cultural and intellectual life into the modern European world. Catherine the Great died from a stroke in 1796 at the age of 67, having ruled for 34 years. Her legacy is as vast and complex as the empire she ruled. Was she the enlightened mother of the fatherland who corresponded with philosophers and founded museums? Or was she a ruthless tyrant who expanded serfdom and erased a neighboring country from the map? The answer is, she was both. She was a woman of immense contradictions, a German who became the ultimate Russian patriot. She famously said, "I praise loudly. I blame softly." This might have been her secret, a calculated approach to power that allowed her to navigate a dangerous world and not only survive, but thrive. She took a teetering throne and transformed Russia into a global superpower, leaving an indelible mark on its history and culture. Her story remains one of the most compelling dramas of ambition, power, and transformation in the annals of history. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this journey into Catherine the Great's life fascinating, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into history's most iconic figures. Let me know in the comments which historical leader you'd like to see covered next. See you in the next video.